Today, I'm going to talk to you guys about tuna tubes. Welcome to the Good Karma Sport Fishing Podcast. I'm your host, Captain Ryan Van Fleet. Well, I wasn't really too sure how I was going to go about this podcast today, but what I'm going to do is I'm just kind of walk you through what I'm planning on doing here in the future and a very reliable source for um, tuna tube stuff. So since the Instagram is showing a lot of people using tuna tubes, building their own tuna tubes, and all that stuff. Listen, this stuff's been around for several years, and now everything's just it just happens with social media. Fishing now everybody wants to use little blackfin tunas, and people are like installing different tuna tubes, which is awesome. I just love when people like are thinking outside the box, building their own stuff. Now, with that being said, I'm one of those guys that like to do that as well. But in the past, I've jumped ahead of myself on building stuff and or buying something. So I'm taking my time with the tuna tube thing because I want to do it right, and I don't want to waste money, and I want to buy from a reliable source. There's a lot of people getting into this market right now because it is very popular. So I want to show you exactly what I'm using as a source and a reference because they've been around for a very long time. Their tuna tubes have been around, and they also have stuff called bait socks. So, and what I really like about this company is they have a resource for flow, keeping your live bait alive. So they really provide some really good technical information, which I feel like for myself, I really want to like read about it. I don't want to listen to a YouTube video about it. I want to sit down and I want to read the technical stuff. Okay. Because what I find is that there's not a lot of technical out there when it comes to this stuff. So when you get down to the nitty gritty on some of these products, is you want to have the specifics when it comes to flow rates, like you want to have as much information as you can. And I feel that right now, this website has the most reliable information out there. So I want to share it with you. And this is where what I'm turning to as far as installing tuna tubes and finding the best option for my small I have I've got a 26 and a 24, 26, however you want to measure it out. But anyhow, so I have limited amount of space, so I've always been good with managing that. So moving forward, like I said, before I do any sort of installation, I'm going to be very like mindful about my space. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you guys a website that I'm looking at right now and what I'm studying as far as flow rates go. And also too, this might be a great option. The prices are pretty good for honestly, because it's already made, some of this stuff. And you've got options called bait socks versus your tuna cages. These guys have made it. These guys as tuna cages have been around for a very long time. And I see like there's tuna cages being made and put out there right now. So, but I want to show you guys some great information and a source for some options out there, especially for the guys that don't get out there very much, but want to have those options of having some tuna tubes out there. You can also use these for like pitch baits. I like to use, like, I'm mostly looking for them for like dolphin season when I got some live baits and I need to get them into a tube really quick to keep them aerated and keep them cool. And that's another thing is that there's a science behind keeping Benita, little tunny, false albacore, whatever you want to call it, alive. And as well as little baby blackfins and all that other good stuff. And blue runners, whatever else you want to use for live bait. So I'm going to show you the website now. And then and I'm going to also show you some technical stuff that you absolutely need to read before you go out and buy a whole bunch of stuff or you buy from somebody on the internet. Okay. I would consider this site a very reliable site as far as their information goes. And they also have a Facebook page as well that you can check and see them in action. And also, too, I am not sponsored by these guys, nor have I like had any interaction with them. This is just something I wanted to share with you guys because I do feel that in today's age is that there's a lot of flashy stuff out there, and I've been victim of it. I've bought stuff I should have waited on stuff that goes for like way back when with trolling motors. I should have waited, and I fell victim to it. So I'm gonna like as I go through the podcasting now, I really want to show you guys some good resources that I'm using and I'm studying before I make purchases. So and also too, I would recommend that you call these people, especially the people that are very technical when it comes to flow rates. And they when they publish stuff on their websites, that means they really know their shit. And you can go back and look at their installs too on their Facebook page. So anyhow, let's dig into this, okay? This is a lot of fun. Plus, you're going to learn a little bit about like live bait and like different, like as far as keeping it cold and like cool and not cooking your bait in the summer. So it provides you with a lot of good information here. So I'm going to pull up a shared screen here. I want to show you the site. And a lot of you guys may be already using this, but I know that a lot of guys don't have a lot of time and then they're scrolling through their Instagram and they see these flashy things out there right now. Um, just take a step back, take a breath before you use your credit card. Okay? Trust me, I'm one of those guys. I want to make an impulse buy. But in this day and age, you gotta like do your homework on your boat, on your plumbing, all that stuff before you make a buy. Okay? That's just what I do. You guys can do whatever you want, but I like it's so, but here I'm going to and again, this podcast is to show you guys how you can go about like finding the best option for your boat when it comes to tuna tubes and keeping those bigger live baits alive. Okay, so let's pull up the site. This site is called biglivebait.com. Okay, and over the course of the years, they've been around for a few years now. They have a great Facebook page. When you go to their Facebook page, you can see the baits in action. Okay, so I just scrolled down here. So basically, what they start with a product called bait socks, and then they give you the history down here. I've seen the installs on some of their larger sport fishers that they do in Texas, and companies in Georgia, or their addresses in Georgia. So I'm going to scroll up a little bit. So you have a bridle buddy here. You know, I don't do much bridling, but they also have the you need a flow nozzle. Very important. And I'm going to show you guys the technical stuff here. And they also have the pumps here. So I'm scrolling up and you've also got the power hubs that you can, bait sock power hubs that you can run several tubes off of. Now these tuna cages have been around for a very long time. They make these and you can go through. So these are the options here. You've got the bait blackfin sock. You have the tuna cage, and then you just have the traditional tuna tubes. Okay. So for myself, what makes sense for me out of my vessel is I really like these blackfin socks. So I'll click on the option here, and they go through here. There are several options here. The no pump, then they'll give you the DC pump, the different types of pumps that you need, 110 AC, and then you can do the add-ons in there, and then the price will come out to whatever you want here. Okay. Then you scroll down, they'll give you the height of the blackfin sock as well. Then they sell these individual pumps here that fit. And then they have a black here that keeps the bait comfortable. But I really like these personally for what I do. Okay. And then, so that runs down, it tells you what the bait sock advantage is. The bait socks are used to keep large baits alive and frisky. The live bait is then free line, drifted, or trolled to catch, game fish. And then as you come down here, it goes through the cone advantage here. And there's a lot of like expensive buckets out there right now where you can fit and they're molded and all that fancy stuff. But like I said, these guys have been around longer than that stuff. And you can see the traditional tuna tube here. And then you have the bait sock. So what I'm looking at doing is I'm just looking at either taking these and then piping them into just a regular bucket and creating my own bait sock and then customizing. I can figure out whatever bucket I want as well. Um, Go from there. But what I'll do is I'll start with one. I won't go buy two. I want to make sure they work. I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of money on something. I'm done with that stuff. I want to make sure they work and see what they do with the bait as well. So I'll probably start myself. I'll probably start with this bait sock here. Okay. Or you can make one. I'll leave that up to you guys. And what I really like about they've got they can be Velcro mounted in here as well. You can see how they're mounted there. So they come with a Velcro mount. I like that. I'm not going to be using these things all the time, but I like that options. So we'll go here and then the tuna cages right here. Various price options here, but really it's about the pumps. And I do believe they use pool pumps. Pool pumps are actually, I feel, are the best, like different pool pumps. So you've got the small and the medium size, and then you can do a sea sucker on there to get them to a sea sucker. Those I like those sea suckers. I had one for many years and it held up pretty good till it finally took a crap on me. So you can see the different socks here with the sea sucker option on here that you can add on. Then you've also got the flow here. That's super important. Super important. And what you can do, what I really like about this site is that you can buy like if you're going to make a tuna tube, then these spare flow nozzles are so important. So important. As you can see there, come down and you guys can see the spare pump and like I said, but this I like this. I really like these flow nozzles. They give you a smooth, straight flow. You can do what you need with them as well. Um, Go to their about page, check them out. Like I said, these guys have been around a long time, and you can go back into their Facebook. What I did, I went to their Facebook page and I just looked and seen how they were, the tubes in action and stuff, and I really liked it. Otherwise I wouldn't be sharing it with you. And also too, so you've got when you go to their info page, and this is fun. Now, like I said, there's a lot of video and a lot of chatter, but what it comes down to is you really need to get your flows right. You really need to get your flow rates right. Okay, so what they provide you with is what companies should be doing is giving you some information. So what I really like that can help you with your other live well systems is how much water flow do I need? So they have it so you can go through and you can read this. I honestly, you go back through like in this example, like it talks about like a 30-foot center console. The boat in particular has a 15-gallon bait well on the transom. The bait well already keeps smaller size baits alive. The primary flow is normal into and out of the existing live well, bait well. The secondary flow is the actual flow through the bait sock. So go through this and read it before you buy anything. That's trust me, don't do what I've done before. So read the small print, okay? What I do like is do I have too much flow? And this is what I really like. And this is where you can get that regulator, and that's what you really need. And that you might be able to buy that and then add it onto your other existing live well systems for something. So this is so you can go to the big live bait equation here. Okay. And then that will walk you through like flow, temperature, gas, longer bait. Okay. So I'm going to let you guys go through and read that as well. Tuna tube flow. And then what I really, really, really like here is you've got the oxygen and CO2 levels, very important, is that it talks about tuna tube management. And this I believe that everybody should read when it comes to keeping their live bait alive. So what he's done here is he's drew an oil rig. I mean, he's got has data here. So you've got a surface temperature of 80, and you've got 80 foot down, it's 82, 71. So temperature by depth. And what he's done here in this blog, he talks about how much the temperature will fluctuate over the course of the day. And he also talks about he'll talk about the flow rate and your turnover. That's very important. And he also gives you the tip here about, the old school tip about the throwing the water bottle into your live well in the summer to keep from cooking your baits. Okay. Um, that does help. What doesn't help is that when you go back and you throw your live, like if you go back into the your canal system in the summer down here, like with cigar minnows, let's say, and what happens is in the summer down here is that you have bad water in the canals. It gets into your bait and gets into their gills, and a water bottle and keeping it cold is not going to save you. So if you're coming down here for the summer and you have a canal, baits like cigar minnows don't do well in the canals in the summer because of the heat. And it's not about how hot the water is either. It's just bad water. It's just like nasty. It's all part of our water quality issues that we have down here in the canal systems in the summer. So but this will help you if you go out, you catch some really good fresh bait and you're going to be out there all day. And then like you got some pilchards that you buy from somebody coming through the creek or you catch them, then you can, have some frozen water bottles with you. That'll really help. So, but go through this and read this. So much good information. So much good information. So, and then also too, what I really like, the transom baitwell mackerel socks, really cool. So he gives you an example of a 38 Donzi. I'm going to scroll down really slow with the Velcro mounts. So that's his live well. Then then what he did was he put the Velcro packs on there, mounted it. There you go. Very good. Very good example. For myself, I really like that. And for myself, that makes sense. It makes sense. If I'm, like I said, you can line these up along the back of your transom. And actually, by the time you go buy PVC pipe and cut everything and do all this, unless you have access to PVC, you're probably going to be spending a hell of a lot more money in time. And for myself, time is money. So for myself, I'm like, or, you just go and some guys are using like cones, just regular road cones, and then doing this, and then they're going ahead and they just spit them in there. And listen, if your bonitos have to sit in there all day, the fish aren't biting. Go do something else. The longer a bait sits, the worse off they get. So uh, you should be flying through those actually. But I honestly, if you want some quick thing, you don't want to go through the hassle of cutting. A lot of you guys are really busy and you don't want to be cutting like PVC pipe and doing all this stuff and replumbing and just these are look like to be a great option. Okay. And if you go through and read everything, what he has here, you're gonna be very it's your chances of your success rates are gonna be pretty good. So you come down, you can see all these nice examples here. I'm going slow in my scroll here. I tend to go a little fast, just how I'm wired. But I like those. It works, and you can take them out. You can, put them in your big garbage cans that you're using for like the for Speedos down here. It's like it's known you just get a big freaking trash can, and then you get as much water flowing through there as you can, and you're good to go. So and then they stay put. Um, but yeah, I really like those. And you can, if you have a longer well, you can put five or six in there. Or you can put them on the outside and then run water. There's so many different options what you can do. You can, as long as you got fresh water moving through there. But oh, one last thing I want to show you here is water flow. Okay, this is very important. See if I can find this one. Oh, there we go. The tuna tube oxygen and CO2 levels, extremely important. You need to go through here and you need to read this. Okay. It talks about, and this is so important. Everybody wants to learn about keeping their bait alive. Honestly, if you go through and you read this, everything's going to start making more sense. Okay. It goes through, he talks about like CO2 levels in the tuna tubes, just everything you need. Tuna tube management. So anyhow, that's what I wanted to show you guys today. I know a lot of you guys are itching to use blackfin tunas for bait, building stingers. You guys have been watching it on. This is like the first season that everybody wants to get new content out there, and everybody's always trying to. It's like the way of the fishing world is that you can never have enough toys. So, but using blackfins and speedos, bonito, bonita, little tunny, all that stuff. There's nothing new about it. It's just that now it's just more, it's out there more, okay, for people because those baits do work very well, but they have to be very lively, okay. And number one, you have to catch them first, and sometimes by the time you're done catching them, the bite's already over with, and you probably could have like scored a couple on plugs and been done with it and went to go catch some bottom fish. So, but or went to go catch some dolphin offshore, which I'll be transitioning into showing you guys some dolphin fishing here stuff too. Um, oh, I do want to show you the traditional tuna tubes. You can see he's got some great images there for you to take a look at with the diffuser, like with the regular oxygen, with that there. Um, Walks you through everything. So okay, so that's all I wanted to cover today. I just wanted to share with you guys that website for those that are interested in building your own tuna tubes or just purchasing bait socks. The bait sock is a very inexpensive. I would say um, it's not inexpensive because you have to have pumps and you have to have all this stuff to make it, to make it work. But one thing personally I recommend is that before you graduate into like this elaborate system, and a lot of guys will go buy elaborate systems, that's just how things go. But there's a lot of guys out there that are pretty mindful as well too, and I know a lot of those guys. So what I would recommend is like what I'm doing personally is I'm looking at small scale stuff and just to see how it's going to work for my boat. Okay, every boat is different. My boat's different than yours, and then your boat's going to be different from mine and the next guy. So how your flow is going to work and all that stuff, how you're going to rig it's going to be different. And you can come up with awesome, elaborate systems. If you got a team of guys that like to work together and build stuff, and you have time this winter to build stuff on windy days, and you have access to different stuff, so it's fun to do it on your own and come up with a killer system. So, but I highly recommend that you take a look at this stuff, and it's always fun to have options out there. And I'm looking at not this season, but by the time I get my testing done and I do everything, then I'm looking at probably next season. So, but we'll see how things go. That's all I got for today, guys. Thanks for tuning in. You can follow me on Instagram at Good Karma Sport Fishing underscore FL underscore keys. You can find all my information on it's goodkarmasportfishing.com. And if you're looking to go fishing with me this spring and summer, guys, I'm offering. As far as my trips go, I would say I will be offering a limited amount of trips this summer as far as the dates go. So I highly recommend you get your summer dates booked. And as far as what we'll be targeting, you guys know what I do. Okay, so it's groupers, muttons, bottom fishing, and all that good stuff. That's all I got, guys. Thank you for tuning in. And remember, anytime you're fishing, it's all good.